is, well, every 10 or 15 years or so, you fall in love all over again. And that's exactly what Jerry and Lee Roy and Flo Lacey and all of us have done. We're madly in love. People that see me say, "Are you having an affair?" Yes. Jerry Herman, and it's the first time I heard this wonderful show, and I want you to know that the show is even bigger and more lavish and better in every way, musically with Tim Stella, in every way on account of our young producer, Manny Cloditis. He gave us can't wait to do it for you. I'm working with a team of energetic, strong, young, thoroughbred horses. Just the most invigorating thing in the world. Oh, I can't wait. Let's do it for you.
Hello, Dolly. It's so nice to have you back where you belong. Kicking off a 30-city international tour in Denver this July, winding up on Broadway next year with invitations to play China and Japan thereafter. Hello, Dolly opened 30 years ago on Broadway in 1964 and ran nearly 7 years, the longest-running musical at the time. It won 10 Tony Awards, still the most ever awarded a single show. And as you'll see, she's still growing, she's still crowing, she's still going strong.
Wow, 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 baby. Look at the old girl now, baby. Dolly, you'll never go away again. Somehow Jerry swears he wrote the Hello Dolly number for me. And people say, "Do you really want it down that low?" I said, "Now, Jerry, no composer wants to hear his song sung in my range." And Jerry said, "That's the way I conceived it. I wanted it that way, and I don't want any flutes interfering. I want only cellos and oboes and things that go down low." Do you know I wasn't in on it? I wasn't in on it. Who thought of me? I wasn't there.
Well, you were familiar with the matchmaker. Did you ever think that you would play that role?
Never. I never dreamed it. I thought that everybody else that played it was superb, absolutely superb. And then all of a sudden here it was handed to me, but it's a classic role. You see, it is, aren't I fortunate, one of the Lady Macbeths of Broadway musical theater, and it's comedy, it's hilarious. And Thornton Wilder, we based our book on Thornton Wilder's great classic. Oh my gosh, we're the happiest and luckiest people in the world.
Back in 1964, when you were rehearsing and going through previews, did you have any inkling of the impact that this show would have on your career or the world?
I knew the impact it was having on me, but if you think beyond that, you're in trouble. As soon as you think, how is this going to affect the audience? How is it going to affect other people? Are they going to... Then all of a sudden, you're not doing your best work. You have to do See, the trick with American musicals, what makes it so thrilling and what makes it so difficult is it's teamwork of great creative forces. It's Jerry Herman and Gower Champion and the man that does the arrangements, this wonderful Tim Stella, and all the actors. We're all going in one direction, and we're all following one simple idea. And Mike Stewart did the book. He adapted Thornton Wilder. You get all the... We're used to working by ourselves. We write a poem that we think is just, you know, but it's got to go with everybody else. To get those forces to go in one direction, Gower Champion said, you've got to get behind my eyeballs, and you've got to look at the world right through my eyeballs. We did it. We got behind one man. It isn't important who it is. It's important that it's one man. That's how you get... Otherwise, the choreographer thinks it's about one thing. I think it's about Dolly, of course. It's about my part. I mean, you know it isn't, but I think it is. Each person thinks it's about... Vandergelder thinks it's about his part. The music, thinks it's the scene. Oliver Smith thinks it's about the flowers and the scenery and the wonderful red harmonia gardens. You've got everybody going different directions. So all we care about is we got in one idea. Oh, that ain't easy, and it's so rewarding.
And you succeeded.
Yes, but it's teamwork. It's teamwork. We have to succeed again. I mean, like Flo Lacey said, it's another baby, Carol. We have to go through all the birth pains, and that's what we're going through. Isn't it funny? The earth turns, Stanley, and so do classic shows. They turn. And they turn with the earth, and a great monumental character like Dolly Gallagher Levi turns along with it. Slowly she's become another angle on her, but if she's not a classic character, she won't turn. And she does. Everything I've learned since then, every Dolly Gallagher I've followed down the street to see how a sassy Irish girl walks, it's marinated. It marinated in the years between. I can feel it. I don't have to reach so hard for her.
The character of Dolly Levi spoke to the world in a very turbulent time, the 60s, perhaps one of the most turbulent times of this century, and yet her voice was heard and continues to be heard. What have you learned from Dolly Levi?
Perspective, more and more perspective on Dolly. You know, the greatest compliment in the world is, isn't it wonderful? It's typecasting. And I think, they believed me. How wonderful. It's real to them. And I couldn't be further from her. You know, I mean, I don't think, but none of us has perspective on himself. So I know that I wouldn't dare act like Dolly Levi. I'd lose my husband, I'd lose my friends, and I'd lose the whole family.
But Dolly Levi and Carol Channing come into a room and you light up the world. Oh. How do you, Carol Channing, keep your spirits up?
Well, I've been working. See, the trick with most actors, I've had the most enviable life. I've never stopped working. That's what George Burns told me. Don't stop working and you'll always be ready for the next step. And this is just a continuation. I've been the last 2.5 years with the symphonies in all the major cities, and I've been doing everything I ever wanted to do, or ever I sang, danced, turned handsprings, and conducted the symphony. So, and then before that, I was working with Mary Martin, which was in Legends. And before that, it was Jerry's Girls, Jerry Herman's Girls, and we were touring all over. So I've never had to stop working, which is every actor's dream, as you know. So what have I done I'm ready, you know? I mean, I've been flexing those muscles that are Dolly Levi's, thank goodness.
Well, you should never stop working. That's every audience's dream, too.
Oh, you're a dear, but you saw it in 1954. You were probably in a blanket. Were you a bassinet?
I remember it.
You do. Oh, you'll never forget it if it's your first show. My first was Ethel Waters in His Thousands Cheer. I remember every move she made. I know.
Well, thousands are always cheering for you.
Oh, thank you, Stanley. Thank you.
Michael Stewart took that wonderful story of Thornton Wilder's and trimmed it and pruned it and brought the heart. Jerry took that heart and musicalized it. Gower took all of those things and made it move, so it all dissolved, and it all kept that thread going about rejoining the human race, seeking adventure in your life. So in this one wonderful day, all of these characters are affected, and that's the single goal to do, and they all achieve it at the end, so there's a happy ending. And I like that. That's the kind of show business that I grew up with. It's the kind of show business I like to see in a theater. And there's room for everything, and there's certainly room for this. I think for people to talk about revivals anymore, they've given it an attitude that I think is totally wrong. Suddenly it's because it's old. That has nothing to do with that. And first of all, even the word revival says that now. And I said, it's not that. We're interpreting what is done. The reason that so many, quote, revivals are successful now in the theater is that if the product is good and it's done with care, it's still good. It's like the formula of Coca-Cola. Why change it? And why shouldn't we have a history that we can enjoy as audiences? I mean, look at opera. Look what they do year after year after year after year in opera. Very few operas are done that are new. And I think that when you have creative people in the business, that they can take a product, put the ingredients together, and make another souffle. It may not always taste the way that it did before. It may be a different color, it may be, but it's still what that is supposed to be. And as long as human beings, that we have that passion, and that we want to go into the theater, we want to shed tears, and that we want to laugh, and that we want to feel good, and that we want to have something that is positive and optimistic, that gives us inspiration. It's how our country was founded. It's what America is all about. This is the show that does it. So, Kate Smith and Abraham Lincoln, we're with you.
Put on your Sunday clothes, there's lots of world out there. Get out the Brilliantine and dime cigars. We're gonna find adventure in the evening air. Girls in white in a perfume night where the lights are bright as the stars. Put on your Sunday clothes, we're gonna ride through town in one of those new horse-drawn open cars. We'll see the shows at Delmonico's, and we'll close the town in a whirl, and we won't come home until we've kissed our girl.
I was told that Ethel Merman would be the star of this, and I was told to write a score for Ethel Merman. When I had finished a number of songs, and we called Ethel. When I say we, David Merrick called Ethel, and said, we have a new show to play for you. She said, I'm not going to come and even hear it because I don't want to spend any more of my life in a dressing room. It was just at the time when she was ready to retire. And so I had the score, and the star that I had written it for was not interested in coming. And we had our director, Gower Champion, and Gower and I put our heads together, and Gower said, I have a very interesting idea. I worked with a lady named Carol Channing in a review called Lend an Ear, and she's bigger than life, she's funny, her eyes alone will light up the stage, and I think she'd make a great Dolly Levi. And we all went to see her. She was doing a Shaw play in New Jersey, and we fell in love. We saw that play and knew that she was right for this, but it was Gower's idea.
Was it The Millionaires?
The Millionaires.
And the score fit her?
Well, I believe in making a star comfortable. That's one of my secrets, that if the star sounds well and comfortable, it's better for me. So I changed some notes for Carol. I threw out a couple of songs that were Merman songs and didn't use them. And I wrote a couple of things that just fit Carol to a T. And she appreciated that, and we became instant friends because of that. She said, you're really going to change those notes for me? And I said, of course, I want you to sound great. If you sound great, I sound great. And we became brother and sister, and we still are.
Were you prepared in any way by the time the show originally hit Broadway for for the magnitude of the impact it would have on the world?
Not at all. The thing I remember most was being very nervous opening night, and then getting a phone call from David Merrick the next morning who said, put your clothes on and come to 45th Street and just stand and take a look at this, because this doesn't happen very often in the theater. And I got in a cab. I did exactly what he told me, and I saw a line completely around the block waiting to buy tickets for my new show. That's when I realized that I had something phenomenal.
How do you analyze it? I mean, all the contributing factors, but this show speaks to people.
It starts with Thornton Wilder. It starts with that wonderful play that's about hope and adventure and taking a last chance in life. It's about life. It's about living, and it will never date because of that. And we all just followed. Mike Stewart was very faithful to Thornton Wilder, and I was very faithful, and Gower was faithful, and we just musicalized a great American play. And I guess we did our work well, but the credit for me goes to Thornton Wilder.
For I can feel adventure